Hi, guys. Welcome to Thursday. It is Liberty Librarian Heather Biederman here for you. And it is a great day. I'm going to keep saying it to myself. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're all great. Oh, I'm having a beer because, it's the end of the semester and it's getting crazy. Look at it. Like, my hair is even like responding crazy. It's like, we can do this. We can. Mm. This week we've had a lot of crazy things going on in Minnesota. There has been protests and um, I'd say maybe a little bit unfair treatment to people who are protesting by the government. And we've had what I would consider martial law by our governor and our state, putting restrictions on people's right to go out and about, and it is a bonkers thing. And I have a lot of friends who have declared this week that they are moving out of the state because they've had enough. And honestly, like, if you live up in the metro, having to deal with property being burnt, some of my friends own rental properties, and having them destroyed, not being able to get payment for rent, which I sympathize on both sides, but we're in this really terrible, darkest timeline right now. And God, what is with my hair? It is like the darkest timeline where my hair does crazy crap. But so people are fleeing the state, and I mean, I've actually had the thought too, just because I'm kind of tired of the cold, and some of the stuff around here is bonkers. There's some weird things that people believe that are a little bit odd, but Minnesota's been really nice to me and I don't really want to leave. So the idea of snowbirding, and some of my friends are just moving to like place like Florida, somewhere warm, and just they're done with it. But like, I think about my in-laws who are snowbirds and they're retirees, so they travel to and from every winter. They go down to Florida, and that's one of the most popular places. So I wanted to think about like the benefits of snowbirding and what it's all about, where places to go, the most popular ones, and where would I go. And then I'd love to hear about where you guys would go. Oh, so many people are leaving in droves. And honestly, I don't blame them. It's horrible. We've had a year since George Floyd to start working on making our whole system better, or the way our government treats people, the way our law enforcement treats people, and it's obvious that it is not changing. So if people leave, that's why. And they'll wonder, why do people keep leaving? It's because, first of all, nobody feels safe. People of color especially don't feel safe. But if like you get pulled over for your tabs on your car being expired, and you get shot accidentally because somebody thought it was a taser, and why are you tasing somebody for the tabs on your car? Why? You know, so I feel heartbroken about the way all of this is, and you never feel like you can do enough to help. But I think being involved in the process, talking to your local law people, your governors, your governing agents, your city council, at least start where you are locally. Make change where you are. But it just feels hopeless sometimes, and that's why I totally understand why people are fleeing. But I'm going to say, you just go from one situation to the other. I'm not sure it's going to be better anywhere else right now. But it does seem about as bad as it could get in Minnesota right now. So what I wanted to do today was to think about, where would I go? Where would you go? Oh, here. I want to see. This is good. is really bad. The police response, they're attacking those that are just standing there, not the ones throwing things at them. That's because they're easy targets. My dad was always afraid to be pulled over in Minneapolis. Many times they didn't believe it was his car or had insurance. They're targeting people. And part of me believes, as an educator, that there's something about the way we're teaching people, that they're training people for the police forces, that is encouraging bad behavior, because it keeps going on and on. And I've always believed this, is that when you have police coming from other communities, they don't even live in the community that they serve. There's no sympathy, there's no empathy for the people who live there. And I think it makes a lot more sense to have people who are from the community work as police in the community, instead of bringing outside people who may not give a shit about the people who live there. But I think it's systemic and it's everywhere, and there's something majorly wrong. It used to not be this way. I mean, people are always like, oh, pigs, cops. Yeah, but I don't. I think that it's gotten so much more worse, in our love of like pulling guns on people. The police shouldn't be using guns. Like, the police shouldn't be using guns. Other countries don't have a problem with it. Police shouldn't be using guns on people. But I get it. I understand that there's so much danger that people have to go through as a policeman. But these stupid mistakes, the loss of life, it's just crazy, isn't it? Yes. So anyway, I've heard enough about it, and you can go on the news, and there are people who are far more articulate about what's going on. And if you watch Sweet Subversives last night, Matt Kowalski is covering the protests, and he's doing an excellent job. So if you want to see more, go to Koala Media out there. Go Google it, or go if you're on Facebook, you'll be able to find it. And he has a great live feed. He and a few other journalists are out there risking life and limb. He got hit by a car the other day. Was it yesterday or the day before? He got hit by a car. He talked about getting punched in the face, and he does it for love. So I think that it's just beyond me. I don't even know what to say. I feel like I want to escape too. So I don't know. And I'm okay. The people that I know that are leaving the state aren't like almost retirees. These are people in like late 30s to 40s. They're leaving in droves. They're taking their families. They're getting the heck out of Dodge. And I don't, part of me is like, oh, you just stick it out and you're a survivor and you will get through anything. But sometimes I am not so sure. And I just started watching The Stand, the Stephen King miniseries. Not, I read the book back in the day. It's a giant volume. And I don't know if it's because the pandemic makes me think about like the worst and the good in people. In The Stand, there's a Captain Trips is the big disease that wipes out everyone. It's not like our pandemic where people can get it and survive. In that movie, in the show, in the movie, in the book, people pretty much have a 99% chance of dying from it. So the ones that live, they go through the survival instinct of like coming together. The good people work together to try to clean up society, grow things, restart. But the bad seeds, the dark side, the evil element, they go out to Las Vegas, which I love Las Vegas, so haha. But where would I be? I don't know. They go out to Las Vegas and they kind of make the world in their image. And so there's these two worlds, like the good guy world and the bad guy world. But ultimately, they kind of need each other in a way. There's always an element where we go back to doing the same things over and over again. And I think about violence, and I think about the unfairness when you have people in power. It causes people to strike back, and it causes the people in power to defend themselves even more. And it's this endless cycle. And I think that we need to break out of the cycle. We need to learn from it, and nobody wants to. It's just it's bonkers to me. And with the stand, I just look at the thing that ends it, that ends the bad guys, is chaos, and it's in the form of a character who loves to burn stuff, burn it down. And is the chaos of the protest, is this going to burn it down, and then the new green life that comes back will be stronger and better? Or is it just going to burn everything down and we're done? You know, I always wondered if humanity has a shelf life, if this is it. But, you know, when I was younger, I was always into reading like Nostradamus and the predictions people made about the future. And I always thought, you know, some of the things are signs. Is this a sign that it's the end? I don't know. I don't want to think that way. I like to be a pretty positive person, but yeah, it's either collapse or revival. And part of me wants to think that it could go in a more positive way, that we can learn from it and we can grow, but maybe not. It might not be that easy. I'm just going to say, if it's the end, I want to be sitting on a beach with a beer in my hand, watching the world burn, enjoying like my last moments with people I love, doing stuff I love. And I hope that maybe if we all kind of think about this is our home, this whole planet is our home, and we start treating it better and treating each other better, maybe we can avoid that apocalyptic thing like the stand or wherever we're going. Oh, really? You just sit on the edge of the world with a beer? I love it. I'll have to look that up. Oh, there's Andy. So anyway, that's about as negative as I'm going to be tonight. I've been talking about snowbirding, and I'm going to wave at my husband who's walking in. But hi, Andy, doing the show. He's nodding. Rory's right there. Yeah. So where would you snowbird? Okay. I've been down to Florida, and I've hung out with, beer is good. Oh my gosh, Odo Vagabonds. Nice to see you. I love seeing you. Hey, beer is good. Beer is good, LBCK 2012. I do agree. I think that sometimes the older I get, the more simple the things are that I appreciate in a good beer and a delicious steak. The smoked meat, just sitting out on the deck. An IPA, oh yes, deliciousness. I think that, you got to make time to enjoy things, like find things that you like. I like to go to little breweries around our area and go, try out new beer and support local brewers, support local businesses, because it's fun. And, wherever I'm going to end up, it's got to have like tasty beer. It's got to have good food. I mean, I can't be in the middle of nowhere without like at least access to good food. I mean, I don't know. My husband and I talk about like which would be better, laying on a beach while we are old and retired, or like in the middle of nowhere in a cabin, not having to deal with bonkers shit people. Northern Cali, we got the bomb shit. I bet, yeah, you do. Minnesota doesn't yet. We don't. Oh man. Yeah, we're kind of, Minnesota is what you call a blue state, and we're like the last holding out of it, where we didn't We have liquor stores, and you couldn't get. We still can't get regular beer in the grocery store here. It's just terrible. You can get what's called, what is it, 5.2 beer, 3.5. What is it? It's near beer. So it's like low alcohol beer. It's 3.2, I think. 3.2 beer is low alcohol beer. So they're made by some of the major brands, but they brew these low alcohol batches. They're really good, an atrocity, and they sell them in our grocery stores. So everyone just doesn't get that unless you're really desperate and it's late at night. If you are like in any other state that does it, I'd be surprised. I think almost all. I know it's terrible. It is freaking terrible. Oh man, and I would love to go to Florida in the winter, Arizona. I love that. One of the lists I was looking at is, where do people go? One of the things that people had talked about is that there are unexpected places. The Ultimate Guide to Snowbirds. This is on 55places.com. And the states that are the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-ish states that retirees go to are California, Arizona, Nevada, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. So, is that one of the states you would go to? Nothing in the north, because I mean, really, why are you gonna? I mean, going south, would you go to? I don't know. Would you go to Nebraska? If you're from Minnesota, it'd be warmer slightly, but not much. Oh, 3.2 beer or at the fair. Oh man, they have that at the fair. Yuck. Oh my God. It's sad. It's almost like drinking water, really. I mean, like I do drink light beer every now and then, but it's not even that good. Light beer at least had like, I think, 5% alcohol. 3.2 is just like, it's baby beer. I mean, really, babies probably drink it. Oh man, no. So the states that are most thought of are usually Arizona and Florida, and a little bit of Texas, especially when you get closer to the South Texas. Really, people also like to go to Mexico, but I'm mostly focusing on the United States for now. Although we'll talk a little bit about snowbirding to other countries in a little bit. But what is a snowbird? Snowbird is a term for a group of seasonal travelers, could be retirees, could be not, who go to warmer climates in the winter. So these are seasonal residents or winter visitors. They tend to move from the northern states to the warmer southern states. And it's usually retirees or very active adults who are following the sun. And I totally get it. Many of them come from the northern United States, but there are Canadian snowbirds that are making the move too. So I'm just like, how far south are they going? Is it too warm in Florida? I don't know. I mean, I kind of like it. I went to Florida for my own spring break this year, and it was awesome. It's such a different attitude. When we went, there's a lot of safe things that are still going on, but I think a lot of the older people have had enough of the pandemic, and it's kind of a Florida thing too, that they're like, yeah, they really didn't give a shit. But I was always thoughtful and wearing masks. I don't want to kill a bunch of 80-year-olds, But we were very careful, and we had our pod, so we stayed away from people, but close enough so you could see what's going on, hear some live music and that kind of thing. Totally different than Minnesota. Minnesota is very oppressed right now, and then we have the protests and everything on top of it, and the whole year has been we're on edge. We're totally on edge. So yeah. Oh, total vagabonds. I love it when people know each other on my show. I love that in the chat. But anyway, so yes, I've gone down to Florida over spring break, and my in-laws do it every year, and it's just great. I love it. I'm not that close to retirement yet, but I hung out with retirees down there, and they're awesome people. Like, it's so much fun just to sit and shoot the shit next to, on the beach or next to a pool, and just visit with people and hear their cool stories about where they're from. And the weird thing is, there's so many people from the Midwest, and I don't know if it's just certain places attract like, but it's interesting when you're like, well, they're from Chicago, they're from like Detroit, they're from Boston. There's just like little pods of people from each area that come to Florida. And then there's other places in Florida, like, Miami, that gets different people, and there'll be people that go to Arizona. I mean, it's very popular to go to warm places. Like, Arizona has a Grand Canyon, right? And like snowbirds love the mild weather. It's very dry there, which is appealing to me because I've gone to New Orleans in the summer and it almost kills me. The humidity is just too much. I don't know how people can live there, and yet I love it. I love the food. I freaking think it's amazing. But I couldn't live there unless I was a vampire living there at night. And then it would be fine because there's some cool shit there. But and you think about every city that you've been to, and like there's something cool about every town, like where would you go? What's your favorite place? Why not live there? I love England, and yet I know it's probably the most impossible place to even think of moving to because it's expensive. Getting housing is impossible. Getting a visa, like a job there would be impossible. Even if you are just totally purely retired, it's an impossibility. That is one of the hardest places to get in unless you just have buttloads of money. And I do not. I am an educator. I wish I had buttloads of money, but instead I have little trickles of money that that add up over time. And if you're smart about it, you can eventually retire. That's cool, but not England cool. However, I've looked at, I would love to come over the pond, and I would love to get to go to Ireland, and I would love to just like hang out up there. When I went years and years ago, I love that area. I love the people. I hang out, and I had such a great time. Uh-oh, Rory's here. I'll let him come by if you want to see him. Come here, Rory. My cat has to make his appearance because, that's the way he rolls. My Rory boy. Yeah. You gonna mess with stuff? Okay. He would prefer that I don't become a snowbird and I do not retire overseas or anywhere else. Just stay home with him all day. And that's okay. I totally get it. As a cat, that's awesome. But Mississippi is too bad for humidity. It's humid at 7 a.m. I know. I just hate sticky. Oh man, I just love England. It's like everything is tasty beer. And I remember when we went, they all thought that we'd want to just drink Bud Light. And I'm like, dude, no, I want to drink your beer, the beer that you guys make here. I love it. Yes, I love that. I love the food. I love the people. It's so beautiful. Everyone's nice. Oh man, I don't feel like I'm rich in wisdom. I feel like I know a lot, but is it useful? Maybe. But so there's a few places, like, I mean, North Carolina has Asheville, which my friends Matt and Laura live there, and it's amazing. I love Atlanta, Georgia, and that's one of the communities that's really growing is, one of the things I thought about for like a potential place was Atlanta, just because it's a hub. You could fly internationally anywhere, you go visit anyone all around the country. They have a movie like whole industry that's there. It's like it's smaller than Los Angeles, but in Hollywood. But Atlanta is, they got all the Marvel movies and stuff. So as an old person, I could totally just be like an extra on movies. How fun would that be? And get to go to Dragon Con every year and just like, that would be great. So I could see that being a potential place. Rory's still sitting there. I forgot he was there. If it's still there, I could. I hope everything's still there. Oh, Ireland is just beautiful. It's so beautiful. So green and gorgeous. Yes, I would love that. All I want to do now is this pandemic to end, and I want to travel the frick everywhere. I want to go and see it all. I want to do that. All the new voting laws. Oh no, everything. That's all shutting down. And they're making it so it's going to be impossible. Only the rich are going to be able to travel. This is why we got to put a stop to it. It says, as a librarian, I have the keys to unlock everyone's learning potential, and that is wise. I know that every single person, every single one of you has the answers to the universe inside of you. And we all got to talk to each other and work that stuff out, because together, boy, we could change everything. This could be amazing. So yes, that's why I love doing what I do. I love talking. I love having my cat just stare at me. I already fed him, so I don't know what he's doing, but he needs attention, obviously, and he knows how handsome he is. So there you go, Rory boy. So what else did they say, Heather, about being a snowbird? When should you migrate south? What are the months that you should go? They say you can go anywhere from January to May. Forget June through October, because that's usually beautiful in the north. I'd say even the end of May is pretty good. So last half of May you could stay there. But then November through December again. So November through May, go somewhere else. Screw Minnesota, screw the north, go somewhere else. And that's a long time, because that only leaves about 5 months in the summer that you'd be back up here. And that's what I'm thinking. I probably would do December after Christmas to April. I think that would be a better. It's more like 6 and 6, right? So that's what they're saying is people are eventually you just never come back. I have a feeling, because you're just I like it down here. But summer, I think, is a little bit harsh in some areas, especially in the South. But Florida, if you're in the Gulf, it's not too bad. You get some hurricane seasons, though, and that might make you not want to be there either. So no more harsh winters and a more adventurous lifestyle, healthy. You can walk more, be outside because you can walk all the time. If you live in a place that's very nice, mild weather, you can walk everywhere. It's going to be great. Make sure you have sunscreen, because Whitey White Heather in the north from the north is burns like crispy. I'm covered in duck fat if I'm outside. I'm just crispy. So you don't want that. And you meet more people. Meet like-minded people, which is kind of freaking cool. It's a lot of fun. So make lots of friends. It was easy. I mean, I only go for about a week each year down to Florida, and I love it. I love hanging out. But I'm not sure that's where I should end up. And then, planning, you have to plan a lot, though. Cost can be cost prohibitive. There's some places that are really expensive. It's your dream. But there are a lot of cheaper ways to make it work, and finding the right community. Sometimes your ideal is I think it's got to be this city. It's got to be right here. And you get there and you just don't mesh well with everyone. And some people rent and buy, you have to be in the same place every time. What if you're the kind of person who not only just changes your hair every week, but you just you get sick of towns. You want to keep being on the move. Maybe you should just rent. Maybe that's your thing. But maybe that's kind of changing. Yeah, right. So you can buy, and there's homes. You can buy single family home. You can buy a condo. I mean, there's a lot of RV snowbirds, which I think is the coolest. But I'm worried that I would be a shitty driver the older I get. What is the show that's on Hulu now? That looks amazing. Let's see. They didn't know what a library or librarian was. Oh no. The youth is so screwed. Oh, he's such a babe. Dwayne. He's back now. I should check out his show too. So yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of amazing. I love the idea of the snowbirds, on the RV, driving around the country, having adventures. What is that one called? It's got Frances McDormand. Oh. I should write her name down because I know she's in it. Frances Turman? Nomadland. It's on Hulu now. She's really cool, but they changed some stuff in it that made, from what I've heard, it's based on a book, and it's based on a lady's life that drove around the country in her RV, and she worked for places like Amazon, and there's some really nasty stuff that Amazon does to the retirees, the nomadic people, and they take advantage of them. But there's too much money that Amazon makes, so the ending was a little happier and fuzzier. So take what you will from it. There's some real life RV people who are on YouTube that I think are super cool that are in it, and I think that would be one that would be worth a look, especially if you're worried about the cost of being a snowbird and you still want to do the traveling. The RV life is definitely cool. It's not for everybody if you need to have like all your stuff. You need to get to that point in your life where stuff doesn't matter as much to you. It's places and people and, experiences matter more. And if you can get to that point, I think an RV life would be amazing. I actually get really jealous about it because I'd like to do it. I don't know how I would do it with cats and husband. I have my husband's 6'4" and he does not fit in most RVs. So, I'd have to get like a big ass RV, and that scares me too because I'd have to drive it. So, you want to be his big spoon and snuggle him? Okay. I think he'd like to snuggle. He seems like a snuggler, right? I think so. But so anyway, where would you guys go to retire? Florida, is that the only place you think it would be good to go? Or they had some unexpected ones in one article in the Hartford. They talked about Las Vegas being an option because there's like so many restaurants, so much to do, shopping. And like if you're looking at there's like cool condos that are even just like down near the Strip. I mean, but you can have big money to live there. And there's also freaking amazing luxurious RV resorts in that area too. So there's a lot of options there. Tucson, Arizona, beautiful winters. And I mean, you could stay there year round, and there's so many outside things. Like it's got that beautiful desert environment. Cool. Utah was one that was mentioned. I've never really been to Utah. And so they talked about in the Mojave Desert city of St. George is gorgeous. You can the temperatures are pretty mild. So if you're not into super hot weather, it might be kind of like a nicer option. They called one of the places an island getaway that I never heard of. I have to actually look more up. Is called Jekyll Island in Georgia. So, we were talking about Atlanta. This is a place that is Barrier Island off the coast of Georgia. And there's lots to do. And it's a former private retreat for the elite families of the Gilded Age. So it's a nice place to do nothing, they say. So beautiful. It's an hour and a half from Savannah and closer to Jacksonville. And it's they have biking and golfing and horseback riding. So it sounds very idyllic. There's all this Spanish moss. It's beautiful. It's great for walking. So people are there's some new places. And then Hawaii, I always thought was a vacation destination, but I never really thought of people going there. So people love to go there for honeymoons and stuff and taking a 2-week vacation. But there are snowbirds that are going to Hawaii now too. And the problem with Hawaii is I always think it's really expensive because it's so far out, bring stuff in. But if you focus on eating the local food, the fish, the stuff that's from there, it can be a lot more affordable. And there's so much culture and history, and it's so beautiful. So, and it's 70 all the time. My one friend from Hawaii, she just couldn't understand. I mean, when she came to visit Minnesota, she thought it was going to be super cold here, but she came in the summer, but she couldn't believe how hot it was in the summer. We have extremes in Minnesota. Another island one was South Padre Island for Texas. So, I mean, you think outside the box, you might find something that works better for you. Or, Alabama has beaches. I mean, you always think Florida, but they have some beautiful beaches off of Alabama's Gulf Coast. So Mobile, Alabama. They have beautiful Mardi Gras celebrations. So why not Mississippi? They have like a Gulf Coast, draws lots of tourists. There's stuff to do. Biloxi has casino resorts. So I mean, like it depends on what you like. For me, North Carolina is awesome. I love Asheville and all the beautiful breweries and so much to do. You can go see like so many things, and it's a huge state. And you get the Blue Ridge Mountains. Yeah. So think outside the box for yourself. What do you really like? Do you like cities? Do you like doing lots of stuff? You want to just like turn off your brain and like look at the water? You want to like what kind of water? Like what makes you really happy? And then start thinking about that. And it doesn't have to be the same thing everybody else does. Some people are looking at international escapes, like New Zealand. How awesome would that be? It's beautiful. They have balmy winters. It's very gorgeous scenery. They have mountains. They have everything. The North and the South Island, they got lots of little islands around there. There's so many cool traditions. They're both Maori and British. And you can like rent RVs. You can stay in motels, hotels, hostels, rent an apartment, like you can try so much stuff. Panama is another place people go to. Costa Rica. My dream is also to go to Portugal and see what that's like. So many things. I like that. You want to retire in Dwayne's arms? I don't know. Might be expensive. I don't know if he's an actual location that I read about, but he's pretty dreamy, right? So there you go. Here, like Tio says, it is almost went to Hawaii twice. Once for uni, once for opening a restaurant. I love Hawaii. So great. Just perfect weather. And yeah, every once in a while there's some volcano stuff and tropical storms, but not as bad as you'd think. It's pretty nice there. So I'd say that's definitely an option. Money makes it a little hard for that, but it's not impossible. One of the things I looked up was like, where are people going to? And we talked a little bit about it. People are staying put in places like Chicago and Atlanta, Washington, D.C., New York, LA. I think once you're there, those are kind of like part of you. But then more people are going to places like Fort Myers, Tampa, Sarasota, Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Napa, so people are moving, but there's migration destinations and there's what they call aging in place. So, do you want to stay where you are and just maybe travel a little bit? That's fine too. You don't have to be a snowbird. I just think, I'm Nordic. I'm a Nordic lady and I kind of like a colder climate, but I also don't like frigid cold. I hate driving in the winter. I hate if I didn't have to go outside, I think it would be awesome. I love looking out and going, ooh, snow. It's so pretty. I don't have to go anywhere. But I have to deal with this every day, all winter. And our winters are forever. I just kind of want that December through early January winter. And then I'm like, and I'm done. Now that Christmas is over. I'm done with this. So if we could just shorten the actual winter, that would be fine. And I think so for maybe January to April, that would be, or maybe even just February to April, February, March, April. There you go. I could go somewhere warm during those months. And the rest of the year, I don't mind. I love the fall in Minnesota. It's so pretty. Summer in Minnesota is great, except for the giant mosquitoes. But, that's one of the other articles I looked at was where the most affordable places to snowbird, which take with a grain of salt. I think you can make any place affordable if you have an RV, but they mentioned Ocala, Florida. That was one. There's lots of 55 plus communities there. It came in number one because it's easy snowbird. It's has lots of great RV parks. It has so many places to go to and do. It is one of the more affordable. And Ocala. It's 58,500 people. So it's not a huge community, but it's a lot more affordable to live there. So that's a Florida community. They say obviously a lot cheaper. Another in the top 3, Brownsville, Texas. That's 182,000. It's kind of huge. It's in South Texas. And they like to live near the Gulf of Mexico. So cities in Louisiana, Mississippi on the coast making the list. So this one has lots to do. It's beautiful. It's got a huge wildlife refuge, and it's got the Lower Rio Grande Valley National Refuge. So that's number 2. And number 3 is McAllen, Texas. So that has 141,000 people. Oh my gosh, they have a picture of this crazy bridge. It looks amazing. So it's got International Museum of Arts and Sciences, a Smithsonian affiliate museum, lots to do. So there's tons of others in Florida, like Sarasota, Fort Lauderdale, and like everybody wants to go to Florida, Tampa, Pembroke Pines, Florida, Port Charlotte, Florida, and then back to Georgia, Macon, Georgia, and Boynton Beach, Florida. So Fort Myers, Florida is number 11 on the list, and that's the one that I go to all the time. Very lovely. But Atlanta, Georgia is 12 on the list. So there's so many options out there, guys. So you don't have to do whatever. Ocala. Like that? Ocala. No, Ocala. Ocala. It's like when people say Mankato or Mankato. It's like, no, you're not from here, are you? No. I know it. It's so funny though. Sipping the beer. Okay. So let's see. Did I hit all the things I wanted to come? I think that's about it. So where would you go? Portugal would be the other place I would go to. Not on any of the lists. It's kind of, I always have Portugal and Belize in my brain. Belize has gotten way exploding. Are you from Florida? That is amazing. See, everyone I know wants to move to Florida now. So that's the way it goes, isn't it? I just think, like, I don't know that I want to do that either. I love Florida. I love going to visit. I don't know if I'd want to live there for part of the year. Like a few months. It's not, I suppose a month would even be okay, but I'd have to have my cats. I'd have to have my life with me, you know? I don't know. Like, part of me, like, seeing all my friends that are leaving the state and going other places makes me wonder, should I go and like go on adventures and have fun stuff? No, you don't. I love Portugal. I've been studying it, and I learn a little bit of language, and I think that would be an awesome place to live. And it's pretty easy to get like your visa over there. To stay as you could have dual citizenship pretty easy if you bought land. And if not in the huge cities like Lisbon or Porto, you could probably get something a little more inland and for very reasonably priced. And then you can get your European, what do they call it? The pathways, something like that, where you can go and travel between all the countries, except maybe England now because Brexit. What the hell, England? Brexit? What's that about? All these people from the UK, from England, have moved to Portugal to do that, and now they're having to go back because it's probably going to be impossible to do. So that is my other dream place. So Portugal, Belize. I love the idea of living in a beach community, but I'm also aware of the fact that humidity might kill me. So if I did, I don't know if I would live on the beach. I'd have to go in towards the jungle, but then I'd probably die in the jungle. So where would you go? If you have your favorite places, put in the comments. I'd love to know where you guys are planning to retire someday, or if you just want to stay where you are. There's nothing wrong with that. Minnesota has all these lakes, and it's a huge state, so you could find a little nook in the woods and never have to leave. And that could be Florida only in the winter, right? Florida only in the winter. I don't think I would want to be there in the rest of the year. It gets too sticky and hot, and I would hate. I don't like that. So I think, and it's like all the fun people pretty much are like, you get all the excitement of people coming from all over the country to live there for part of the year. So they get excited until they burn it out. And I think if these people live there year round, they probably wouldn't be as excited about it. So there you go. Be a snowbird, maybe not. It's okay. I'm one of my obsessions is retirement and making sure I'm ready. But I don't know when that'll be. But so anyway, there's also something to think about. There are states that have no individual income tax. Florida is one of them. But there are other states that don't have individual income tax, and they include Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee. I'm opening this website and we're going to see if it has some video play. Oh, it's probably gonna. I should have just not done it. Turn it back. Tennessee, Texas, Washington. There's another one. Tennessee, as of this year, will no longer have tax investment earnings. New Hampshire doesn't tax earned wages, but does tax investment earnings. So there's 9 states that have no income tax, according to Investopedia. And this is updated on March 16th, 2021. So the worst states for income tax would be California, which is one of the places that people like to live. But the ones with no tax include Texas. Let's see, is there any other ones? I said Tennessee, right? Yep, that's about it. The tax burden, the lowest, and affordability, the best. Oh, okay. This is comparisons. Alaska has the 5.16% tax burden. And so Tennessee, this is like the order of how cheap it is. Best states to live. Best state to live. Washington State has 8.32% tax burden percent of income, and it has higher tax burden rank. And a lower affordability. But the one I look at all the time, because it's not only affordable, but it has no income tax, is South Dakota, which is very near where I live. So part of me thinks that when I retire, I might move my summer home to South Dakota as a main property, and then snowbird it around, So you never know, it could happen. So anyway, that is the end of you get a house and you just leave it behind in the summer, and then you're in Oregon. That sounds awesome. You see, I'm ready. I'm ready to retire. Ready now. Right now. I think I got another 15 years at least, but I want to go on adventures so bad. But we'll do some intellectual freedom news since I'm running out of time. So much. I talked a lot. The one I wanted to make sure I talked about, not that one. Yeah, that one. Facebook had a leak. Yeah, and they didn't want to tell anyone about it. 533 million people had a data leak on Facebook. So way to go, Facebook, for screwing that one up. They didn't want to tell people. So last Tuesday, I think, or the Tuesday before, they wrote on their blog that it believes the data was scraped via its contact importer sometime before September 2019, a method that is in violation of the company's policies. So, but they didn't want to tell anyone. It doesn't mesh with the fact that the company hasn't spoken out or filed lawsuits against a controversial surveillance company, Clearview AI, which I also read that a lot of police departments are using their software for facial recognition scanning and without permission from their communities. So there you go. Clearview AI, kind of naughty. But Facebook says they're blaming them, but they're not suing them either. So there you go. So there's Ryan Mack on Twitter said, over the last year, I've asked Facebook more than a dozen times if it will take legal action against Clearview AI for scraping what is likely millions of photos from Instagram and Facebook. No lawsuits have been filed, and Facebook has said nothing on record. So they're kind of like letting them do it. So there you go. If you're on Facebook like I am, your images have been scraped. They've probably taken it already. So if you're concerned or not whether or not your data is included in the data lump, and you don't want to wait to see if Facebook will change its mind about notifying users, you can take a look at this guide on theverge.com to see if you're affected. And there's also an article in Wired about it. I'm going to click on it just to see if it goes to the site that I'm thinking. How to check if your data was breached. Let's see. There was a website that tracks data breaches called Have I Been Pwned? PWNED. I'm going to open that, and I'll post a link in my chat so you can see it. So you can check for yourself. You can put your email or your phone number in it, and you can check. So I'm doing it right now. So here is the address, haveibeenpwned.com. So if you do that, you can see if you're one of the many who basically got your data stolen. The West Coast is lost. It is, isn't it? So let's see. Oh man, I gotta close some of these. I have opened up so many windows for the Snowbird stuff because I'm interested in it. Here we go. So have you been pwned? I'm gonna look up myself real quick. I was pwned. I'm in 9 data breaches. Yep. So that sucks. So they give you steps on how to have better security, doing dual factor authentication, store the codes inside your 1Password account and whatever. You take it all with a grain of salt because they want you to use a 1Password.com, but that doesn't mean you should. But I do think it's interesting to see if you've been breached. So that is the site that they recommend. And they're dodging the question. So Facebook has lost much data and pictures and information about you. And if you use Facebook at all or social media, then you've probably had your data breached. So go to that website. Have I been pwned, .com, and you can see for yourself if you have. So definitely recommend that. And it gives you some tips on how to do it. Here's another interesting thing. The Electronic Frontier Foundation website, EFF.org. I always laugh because it's like, F that. They're 30 years old. They just have an anniversary. So the Electronic Frontier Foundation has a article from April 5th called First Circuit Upholds First Amendment Right to Secretly Audio Record the Police. That's different, isn't it? So the First Circuit holding that the First Amendment protects individuals when they secretly audio record an on-duty police officer. So this is very important right now in times where you can get pulled over by police and maybe shot. So you can secretly record them, and your rights are protected according to this. There is a case, Martin versus Rollins, which is brought by the ACLU of Massachusetts on behalf of 2 civil rights activists. It's a victory for people within the jurisdiction of the First Circuit, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Puerto Rico, Rhode Island, who want to record an interaction with police officers without exposing themselves to possible reprisals for visibly recording. So the First Circuit struck down as unconstitutional the Massachusetts anti-eavesdropping or wiretapping statute to the extent that it prohibits the secret audio recording of police officers performing their official duties in public. The law generally makes it a crime to secretly audio record all conversations without consent, even where participants have no reasonable expectation of privacy, making the Massachusetts statute unique among the states. So what that means is, no, it doesn't mean everyone can start doing this everywhere. But if you do, and you get arrested for it, there is already this is put into place that it's protected. So once one area of like the First Circuit does it, it makes it very likely that the others will follow that. So that is good. And they go into the history of it. Was previously held in Glick versus Knief in 2011 that plaintiff had the First Amendment right to record police officers arresting another man in Boston Common, and he'd use his cell phone to openly record both audio and video of the incident. And the court has held that the audio recording did not violate the Massachusetts anti-eavesdropping statute's prohibition on secret recording because Glick's cell phone was visible to the officers. So does that mean you can hide it and secretly record everything. Be very careful. The ability to secretly record audio, record on duty police officers is very important because a lot of them retaliate. They will break your phone. They'll take your phone. They will make you leave. So if you need to get evidence that wrongdoing is going on, sometimes you have to be able to secretly record them. So this is becoming an important part of the law and will protect people from the police. And I think having them accountable and that accountability that can be used in court against them will make change start to happen. Thank God. Thank God for that. You have a fire warning already? Oh my God. God, it just seems like you guys are on fire all the time. It's crazy. Okay. I'm going to only do one more thing of news. Which one do I do? Oh my God. I have so much stuff to cover. I'm not going to do the best cities to retire. You guys can figure that out. No. Oh, the other one. Vaccine passports. This is big news everywhere. There's a race from a lot of electronic providers to try to come up with the COVID passport so that way you can show that you are vaccinated so you can travel, you can go to concerts, you can go do stuff, go anywhere. And funny thing to note is I think it was Moderna today said, it might have been Pfizer, that you're going to need not only 2 vaccine shots, but within a year, you're going to need a 3rd one. So they're going to keep that ball rolling forever. So on top of that, they want to do vaccine passports, which is a huge can of worms that I feel like they should not even begin to think about doing. They want to have vaccine mandates. They want to have passports, electronic passports, real passports to show you've been vaccinated. And it will put this barrier up for international travel, and it'll make that harder and harder and harder to be able to leave. And I think it is the beginning of the end if we start doing that. Will the U.S. use it? It's very likely to be growing demand for international travel. They're definitely looking at it. The U.S. currently requires all air passengers coming to the U.S. to have a negative COVID test. And I should say, this is in kff.org. KFF, what does that stand for, Heather? I'm curious. Because I just saw one that was F. So is this the KF versus the if? What is it? Open, damn it. Okay. My nose is itchy, sorry. Blah. I'm so allergic to everything. They first of all, they're going to have a uniform digital standard. They don't recognize each other's passports, different countries. Is there going to be an international one? Is there going to be an international passport that has vaccination on it? Is there going to be equity and access for poorer people? Are they going to make it so is this a tool to stop immigration, to keep people from coming into the country, especially poor brown people? You know how that is. And it's a bunch of bullshit. If we have to have a vaccine passport to travel from country to country, it's going to prohibit free travel for people who are escaping terrible places. You don't have the right paperwork, so you can't leave. It's just going to open up like an underground railroad system of people trying to travel from country to country. So if they think it's going to help, it really won't. And it will just make a greater divide between the haves and the have-nots. So there's scientific considerations. Is vaccination the answer? I mean, I'm not saying don't get vaccinated, but I'm just saying some people don't agree with it. There's a lot of religious reasons. There's people who feel like it will make someone sick. They don't trust it. They don't feel like there's enough scientific information about it. Fine. But why are we going to require people to have this if it's not investigated enough? So, and they're finding out things all the time. Like they said, oh, Johnson & Johnson's fine. And then people die from like the vaccine, and then they take it away. And then they go, oh, except that one. Now we don't. Like now it's not good. So how do you know what to even believe? I understand that completely. So the conclusion, There is a large number of as of yet uncoordinated efforts underway to develop vaccine passports. It's not clear if or when the U.S. might adopt it, probably when, for cross-border travel or for domestic purposes. What form the credential will take or the restrictions it might place on individuals is likely it'll call for it both on international and domestic use. So definitely expect it for like concerts and big events where lots of people will be. And it will increase over time. As more and more people get vaccinated, the governments and employers will seek to find ways to balance public health concerns while easing a return to some level of normalcy. And they're going to use that to take away rights because people go, I just want to go back to normal. Well, then you got to have this app on your phone so we can track you all the time and make sure you're okay. That's what I'm talking about. So be aware that while they say this is going to make things go faster, it will never go away. It won't ever go away. So I warn against doing it. I don't want it. I just pose as recording the cops unless they need it. I like that. So anyway, I'm out of time already because I rambled way too much about being a snowbird because I still really want to. So I hope you guys have the best week ever. I love getting to hang out with you. It's super fun. Check to see if you've been pwned. And hopefully you haven't. And if you have, send me some comments. Oh, and thank you all for liking my Liberty Librarian Facebook page. It's over 500, and I think it's over 550 people now. I was amazed. Thank you for liking me. I like you too. And I hope to see you again next Thursday, and we'll have some more fun, and it will be a great time. I love getting to hang out. So see you all later. Have a great week. And oh wait, I gotta show one thing. And stay cool, man. See you later, gang.